people of Moreno Valley, Paris, Hemet, San Jacinto, and many of the unincorporated areas around here. Mead Valley, Good Hope, Homeland, Nuevo, Lakeview. And one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we do, and many of the candidates that are here, is to continue the time-honored tradition of going to neighborhood, giving people the opportunity to actually meet and hopefully ask questions from the people who are seeking to serve you. I am so passionate about the idea, right? And it's actually a fact, not an idea, that it is my honor to serve you. It shouldn't be your honor to meet with us, right? We work for you. And it's our job to continue to report for duty, to making sure we're as accessible as possible. I mean, as you know, sometimes accessibility may be subjective, depending on how often people might want to try to engage with us. But I represent almost 500,000 people, so it might take me a while to get to everybody, right? But I'm committed to doing so. Because we have so many crises in California. We have so many issues that really affect each and every one of us. We know we have issues when it comes to cost of living, in terms of home ownership, in terms of rents, in terms of homelessness, mental health. You name it, we got it. But that's the downside of being a part of California, such a large state, the largest state in the nation, and with so much diversity that we celebrate, but it also brings challenges as well, because we have got to make sure that we're trying to meet as many unique situations as possible. And so I want to just make sure that I'm glad that we are joined by our mayor, who's running for re-election. We have Erlan Gonzalez, who is running for city council. And we have Elizabeth Tucker, who's running for judge, right? You know those long lists of judges you see on your ballot? And you're like, who the hell do I vote for? I don't know these people. Well, guess what? We wanted to make sure that you actually had an opportunity, because judges are important, right? And the integrity of our courts are important. And our legal system is important. So I say all that to say is that this is good old democracy in action that we're trying to continue to foster, where we're actually coming to you. You don't have to come to us, right? And it is my hope, particularly with me, that you have questions, and most importantly, that you have homework for me to do. Because it's my job to get to work for you and to try to find ways to make sure that Sacramento is working, not just for Moreno Valley, but for the Inland Empire, right? And, oh, I forgot to mention gas prices, right? So we don't want to go there, right? And then we have the 215 freeway that seems to have all the holes in the world that we're trying to plug up. And so with that, I don't want to take too much of the time, but I just want to say thank you for participating in your democracy, right? And thank you for making it a priority to making sure that you are kicking the tires, to making sure that we represent who you want as a representative on the various levels of government. So now I want to introduce you, I say to my brother from another mother, the mayor of Moreno Valley, Ulysses Cabrera.
Well, thank you so much, Assemblyman, and really appreciate just the work that you've done for Moreno Valley from Sacramento. As some of you may know, and we may have met, my name is Ulysses Cabrera, the mayor here in the city of Moreno Valley, almost for 2 years. So Usually in most cities you have 4-year terms, but Moreno Valley does things a little differently. So 2-year terms, and I am up for re-election this November. Prior to being mayor and becoming mayor in November of 2022, I was a city council member. I got elected back in 2017 in a special election, and then was re-elected to a full 4-year term in 2018. And so the past 7.5 years have definitely just flown right by. It does not feel like 7.5 years, but just looking back on things, very proud of the various projects that we've been able to accomplish, because it's not just a one person show. It definitely is a team effort, and it takes a lot of people, a lot of collaboration, working with other elected officials, working with the private sector, making sure that we're bringing in capital investments here, making sure that we're having new developments come into the city of Moreno Valley, and most importantly, that we're addressing the needs of our community, that we're listening to what the residents need and want, and doing our best to meet that need. I know we may not always be able to figure it out completely or 100% agree on everything, but at the end of the day, it's about moving our city forward, moving our community forward. How do we make sure that our community has the opportunities, the resources that they need to pursue their dreams, pursue their passions, and make sure that they have those opportunities here in Moreno Valley. So just to highlight a few of the challenges that are before us and some of the areas that we've been able to address these in the past. Of course, public safety is always at the top of everybody's mind. When I first started off as a council member, it was just me, it was just Ulysses Cabrera. Fast forward now, I'm married, right? I have an amazing wife. I have my 3-year-old son, and then a daughter on the way that's going to be here in January.
All right.
And so anyone, thank you, anyone, especially if you have, an extended family, if you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, you understand even more when you get that crown of becoming an auntie or an uncle or a grandparent, just that drive, that extra motivation that it gives you to make sure that your family has what they need, that you can provide that for them, that you can keep them safe, right? That if you pick up the phone and call for a firefighter or a police officer, that they'll be able to show up. And so it's making sure that we continue those investments, right? Investing into medic squads for the fire department, and then for the police department, funding additional deputies so that we keep our response times low, and make sure that, again, if you pick up the phone, that somebody will respond and be there for you. Our schools, even though the city doesn't directly oversee our schools, that's another area where we do collaborate with our school districts, because unfortunately, over the past couple of years, we've seen an increase in threats at school and things like that. So how do we keep our students safe? That's another thing that is at the top of our priority list. And speaking of schools, educational opportunities also is at the top of our priority list. And so over the past 7.5 years, the city has been able to approve and open 3 new libraries. So when I first got on the council, we opened up the mall library over at the Moreno Valley Mall. And then we opened up the Iris Branch Library. That's over off of Iris and Perez. And just to specify that we're not randomly choosing locations for libraries either, right? It's a significant tax investment. We're making sure that we're trying to put these facilities in places where it's easier for our residents to access, right? Folks that may not have access to transportation, maybe they have to rely on the public transportation system, or a family member, or if it's a young person that doesn't have a driver's license yet, they have to rely on their parents to get to and from practice, to and from the library, after school programs, right? So we were able to open up the Iris Branch Library to meet the needs of those residents on the south side. And then recently we did the groundbreaking for our newest library that's going to open in Sunnymead Ranch up on the north side of town, because prior to that library, other than parks, which are great, there are parks throughout the city, there is really no other public facility on the north side of the 60 freeway that residents can access, right? So even though it's not a senior center, even though it's not a rec center, my hope is that we can provide some of those programs at that library, especially for all the students that live in the area, the Canyon Springs High School, Hidden Springs Elementary School, right? All those schools that are in that area, now those students will have a place to go after school, where parents can have a little bit more peace of mind knowing that they're in a safe place, in a safe space, and they have a place where they can study, do homework, hang out with friends, or whatever it is, instead of being out on the street with too much time on their hands, getting into trouble in the wrong place at the wrong time. So we want to keep those things going. And speaking of our seniors also, We are getting ready to do the groundbreaking for the senior center expansion. It's a $4.4 million investment to the main senior center. So that's another thing that's coming down the pipeline. And in addition to that, as the assembly member mentioned, things like home ownership, making sure that homes are affordable is another thing that is a crisis really facing our entire state. I am proud to say, and I do want to give kudos to the city of Moreno Valley though, because last year the city was designated a pro-housing jurisdiction by the state of California, by the California Housing Community Development. Out of over 500 jurisdictions, so that's cities and counties in the state of California, over 500 of them, only about 30 got that designation. Moreno Valley was one of them, which is a big deal because we received that thanks to the city building more than enough housing that is required by the state of California. And that's something that not a lot of cities can say around the state. You have a lot of other cities, especially affluent areas of the state along the coast, that are very against things like affordable housing. And so we are actually meeting the need, but we can't do it alone. We also need everybody else to come along with us, right? The city of Red Valley isn't going to solve the state's housing crisis issue. We can build tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of units, but the state is short 1 million to 2 million units all up and down the state. So we're doing our part, and I'm very proud of that, and we're going to continue to do that. So I think just in closing, because I can talk all day, I will send you a copy of my book one day when I write one. But we want to keep this momentum going. Again, we don't always agree on everything, right? But at the end of the day, we can have a conversation. We can, hear different perspectives and learn something new. Hopefully, at the end of the day, even if we walk away from that table, we get up, shake hands, and we agree to disagree, at least we better understand the other side and where they're coming from, and we can get closer to some kind of consensus. So, at the end of the day, there's still a lot of work to do here in the city of Moreno Valley. We've made a lot of progress. Moreno Valley is on the map and up and coming. We're the 21st largest city in the state of California, second largest city in Riverside County, and there's still a lot ahead of us. So I look forward to building that together with you, walking alongside you, collaborating with you, and making sure that we are listening to all of your ideas and making them happen. So with that, I will hit the pause button, and we'll turn it over to our next speaker.
Candidate for District 3, Erlan Gonzalez.
Hi everyone, good morning. This beautiful Moreno Valley day. I think this is the one of the best transition periods from we go to summer to fall. So it's a beautiful time here in Moreno Valley. Again, my name is Erlan Gonzalez. I'm running for Moreno Valley City Council District 3. I'm excited to be here. Just want to give my origin story here in Moreno Valley. I've been here for 15 years in Moreno Valley. I'm adopted here in the city. I'm originally from Baldwin Park. Then I transitioned and I came to UCR and to Riverside. And then when I met my wife, Alma Ruiz, who's sitting in the back there, moved to Moreno Valley on the east end. Why? Because the Ruiz family, for those who don't know the Ruiz family, they've been in this community since the late 1960s, before it was a city. So they've seen the growth and development of this community, especially on this east end. Why am I running, right? I've always enjoyed, I work for the County of Riverside. I've always enjoyed being involved in the development political process. It's a place where we can collaborate with different stakeholders in our community. One of the things in this journey I've discovered, I announced to run back on May 5th, today's September 21st, just talking to different residents, talking to different households of what they want the city to be, of what their concerns are, from addressing some of the homelessness public safety part to, hey Erlan, why don't we have all the entertainment and light life that other communities have? Why aren't we like Redwoods or Riverside? I think we're at that stage where different parts of Moreno Valley, especially District 3, can get to that place, working with the mayor, working with the council to bring about those projects and those developments where people can thrive, right? That's my slogan, where families thrive. Moreno Valley's been very generous to me. And I want to be part of that to make it generous for everyone. everyone so they can have an opportunity to thrive, to eat at the restaurants that they want to go to have the parks, right? My children always say, why don't we have more parks, more closer parks, right? So that's something I want to work on, especially the soccer fields, right? They thrive on those soccer fields and the splash pads. So that's something. Also, the making sure that our communities have the commercial establishments, right? The jobs. Have a balanced community, right? Not focusing on one sector or another, but having a little bit of everything, so that there's different economic and development opportunities for residents. And furthermore, I think that I'm a proud Californian. I've been here all my life. I know we have challenges. I know we have a lot of differences, but I think everyone that knows me, and hopefully I get to know everyone here, I'm reasonable, right? I'm a reasonable person. You can come and talk to me. I've talked to so many of you on this campaign trail, and I'm super excited and hopefully get your vote on November 5th and get things, continue to get things done and keep Moreno Valley moving forward, especially District 3. And again, I want to thank, first of all, don't forget, I want to thank my compadre, my brother-in-law, Romeo Ruiz, his wife Susan, and the family that made this possible in this beautiful home. And the sun's coming out, so that's a brighter city is going to rise here.
All right.
Come out for me. That was perfect timing. Doggone it. All right. Next up is Commissioner Elizabeth Tucker, running to be one of our judges for Riverside County. Please welcome her.
Good morning, everyone. I am Superior Court Commissioner Elizabeth Tucker, and I am running for Riverside County Superior Court Judge. Would also like to thank our hosts and the other candidates for including me in today's event, and for all of you for coming out to seek information. I find especially about judges, no one ever knows who to vote for judge, so a lot of people don't vote. So happy to share a little bit about my election and about myself. Love that Dr. Jackson started out with public servants. I have been a public servant in Riverside County for over 29 years. I started my legal career as a deputy district attorney for Riverside County. I was hired directly out of Hastings Law School. I'm making a little plug for Hastings, which one of our presidential candidates went to, but was recruited into the district attorney's office. Started out in the desert region and fell in love with the desert and have lived there now for almost 30 years. So I was a deputy district attorney for 23 years. And then in 2018, I was selected by the judges of Riverside County to be a Superior Court Commissioner. So when I introduce myself and say I'm a Superior Court Commissioner, I usually get a blank look over people's faces because no one knows what a Superior Court Commissioner is. So the next thing I always say is, well, you know what a judge is? Oh, yeah, I know what a judge is. Okay, it's the exact same thing, except I was hired by the judges to be a judicial officer, and judges are elected by the people. Once you get the job, 99.9% of it is literally exactly the same. I wear a black robe, I preside over a courtroom, I make orders, have the same authority as a judge. I am just not elected as a commissioner. So there's three things that I think are really important about the spot that I am running for. This is a county-wide election. So I live in Indio. I come out here to Moreno Valley. Oh, well, can I vote for you? Yes, you can. Your friends in Hemet can vote for me, in Temecula, in Blythe, in Corona. This is a county-wide election. And judges do not run for a particular seat. You run for Superior Court of Riverside County, and ultimately, whether you're a commissioner or a judge, the presiding judge of the county decides where you will sit and what courtroom you will preside over. So that's up to the presiding judge, and it shifts and moves from time to time depending on the needs of the county. So it's a county-wide election. It is also a nonpartisan election. So if you're looking for, well, I want to vote for whatever party, I'm going to look for that person. No. Judges are neutral, impartial. It's very important that our judiciary stays impartial and neutral so you don't see a D or an R after someone's name. So if you think I'm a good option for Riverside County, please feel free to share not only with all of your friends in Riverside County, but any party, because it's a nonpartisan election. And the other thing that I think is important to share about this election is I am not challenging an incumbent judge. This is an open seat. Judges are elected for 6-year terms. So at the end of the term, if a judge decides not to seek re-election, that seat becomes open, which is the seat that I am running for. It's an open seat. As I indicated, the judges of Riverside County hired me to be a commissioner. They are my boss. So I am smart enough not to challenge my own boss for their job. So this is an open seat. I'm not challenging an incumbent judge. 3 things about me that I think are very important and why I think I am the best option for all of Riverside County is I am the candidate with experience. As I just said, commissioners do the exact same job of a judge. I've been serving now in the role of a Superior Court Commissioner for over 6 years. Commissioners receive the exact same training that are required of judges. I now have experience presiding in juvenile dependency courts. Those are the child protective services cases. Juvenile justice. Those are the juvenile delinquency cases when kids are arrested. I have experience in criminal court, civil court, probate court, traffic court. So I've had a variety of assignments over the past 6 years and have experience in training all of those areas of law. Riverside County is very under-resourced for judicial officers. We need more judges, and especially electing somebody that has the experience and can hit the ground running from day one, I think is really important. So I'm the candidate with experience. I do have one opponent. He's a deputy DA out of the Temecula area, been a DA for about 16, 17 years. I've met him 1.5 times. I'm not sure the second time really counts as a meeting. I'm sure he's a fine person. He's deputy DA 16 years, that's great. I was a DA for 23 years. And he has no judicial experience whatsoever. So he would have to learn how to be a judge and step out of the role of being an advocate. I was speaking with someone earlier today. When you become a judge, you're not an advocate anymore. You're
Right.
a neutral, party, person, making sure that everyone has a fair playing field. So I think I'm the best candidate for Riverside County because of the experience. Second reason, I'm also the judge's choice. Not only did the judges select me back in 2018 from over 130 people that applied to be a commissioner when I applied, but they continue to endorse my candidacy. Again, no one ever knows who to vote for judge. Well, maybe who the judges are voting for, maybe that's a good indication of who voters should vote for. I'm endorsed by the presiding judge of Riverside County, the next presiding judge, the assistant presiding judge of Riverside County, and over 70 judges and commissioners within our county. So they are also endorsing this candidacy. And the third point that I think is important to share is I will save taxpayer dollars. This is a critical time for our state. We are facing budget, shortfalls, and so we need to do more with less. I have received, judges are required to be trained. You have to go to new judicial orientation when you become a judge or a commissioner. You have to go to college, a judicial college. You have to go to assignment training. All of these trainings take place in Northern California. Our taxpayers pay for those trainings, and I have already received all of that required necessary training. So I'm the best choice for Riverside County because I will save our precious taxpayer dollars. I don't know if we're going to do questions maybe with everyone.
Yeah, we're going
to. Okay, so I'll pause to ask for any questions, but I just would like to share briefly, not only do I have, my professional career has been in public service, and I do consider myself a public servant. When I was a deputy DA, I returned phone calls within 24 hours. I think our job is to serve the public. One of the motivating reasons for running, in fact, my girlfriends, when I said I was running for judge, they said, well, wait, aren't you already a judge? And I said, oh, kind of, we need to better serve our community, especially on the east end of our county. Our Blythe community is very under-resourced. We're not providing that community with any juvenile court proceedings. I don't think it's okay. I mentioned that I currently serve in the juvenile dependency court, the Child Protective Services cases. I have many, many families from our Blythe community that are forced to drive, 90 miles into Indio to have their cases heard. And these are families with very low economic means. CPS is involved in their families for a reason. And I think we can do better for our families. So I really would like to provide more resources to our kids and to our families. But I also have a long history of public service just in my personal life as well. I've been involved in the high school mock trial program since 1996, either as a coach or a mentor. I'm a Rotarian, so I've been a Rotarian for about 14 years with the Indio Rotary Club, past president of that club. I've been involved in National Charity League with my daughter who just graduated high school, and actually when I leave this event, I'm taking her up to college at UC Santa Barbara, which is actually where I went, so it's a little bit
Right on.
trip down memory lane, but I was my daughter's Girl Scout troop leader for years, and also involved in mentoring youth who were interested in getting into the legal community. So just a long commitment to serving our county, not just in my professional life, but also in my personal life as well, and would like the opportunity to continue that in just a little bit of a different capacity, and hopefully providing more resources to our families in our county. So thank you for taking the time to be here and to listen to me. I truly appreciate it. Oh, one last thing. Sorry. If you don't remember anything else, excuse me. My slogan, don't be a sucker, vote for Tucker, because people remember that.
Yes.
It's all about the name recognition. So if nothing else, you can say, hey, I met this lady, she sounded okay, but just remember that part. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So thank you.
So vote for Corey.
This is the time, and the most important time, where you get an opportunity to ask us any questions. And you can ask any general questions, or you can ask of us individually. But this is the most important time to talk about, or you can even make a statement about what issues are important to you, right? What do you think we should be incorporating into the work that we do? Understanding the vision. One thing that I've noticed for sure, spending 2 years in Sacramento, is the back and forth and the disagreements are actually important to our democracy. If no one disagrees, right, we're in trouble. If everyone agrees on everything, we're in trouble. But it's that cordial disagreement where you're presenting your feelings, you're presenting hopefully more facts about what you think should happen, and it gives us an opportunity, because usually the right answers is somewhere in the middle, right? And so it's important to making sure that you're a part of the discourse of our community, so that we can get it together. And in many cases, sometimes the right answer is the answer that makes both of us a little upset, right? Because one thing's for sure that I've noticed, and that is the majority of our decisions need to be based upon setting up the next generation for success. And sometimes to be able to do that, we have to be willing to sacrifice so the next generation can have greater resources and greater opportunities. This has been a region, this has been a state that gave many opportunities to so many of us, right? But unfortunately, it doesn't look like that the future generations will be able to have those same opportunities that we had, right? Many of us came, I bought my first home here in Moreno Valley, and it was quite affordable. But now that house wouldn't be affordable for the next generation, right? And so the question becomes, how do we turn those things around? But one thing is for sure, is that right now we are not setting up the next generation for success. And too many times it's because we're trying to still make policies that's just good for us individually, and not thinking about for those that are going to be here for the future, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. It's time for us to be about the business of making sure that our legacy is making sure that our grandchildren are successful as well. So with that, anyone have any questions or comments? Here?
Sure, I'll start off, but I want to stage you all four candidates, and you mentioned it early in the first story. To reach people, you have an open opportunity to come on my show, 1490 AM KMET. We'll discuss the issues back and forth, but I'll circle around. But I wanted to get to the judge, and she made a very important point that, and I get this question asked a lot of times, who to vote for the judges. My specific question to you is, what was your stand the last couple of years when the courts were clogged, especially down in Indio? Because I'm not aware of you doing that. I was down at the County of Riverside at the Board of Supervisors putting proposals in and telling them how, and this is how your government hoses you. They said, their big question back was, oh, well, the state gives us all the budget, which is true. The second part of that is, they have the ability out of their budget to supplement that, what you have, and if you want to see, and 71% of the people now are supporting Prop 36. So if you want this stuff fixed, if you want the courts to work, if you want the stuff that's in, that she's talking about, but I want to know specifically, because I didn't see you up there standing with me and others demanding that this stuff done, being a public face on it, and just because you're a judge, my understanding of the law, that you're a lawyer, you do not give up your constitutional right of First Amendment to free public speech, free political speech. So you can say on your time, as Michelle Tucker, individual, you can give your opinion. Tell me I'm wrong.
It's Elizabeth Tucker, but that's okay. That's all right. Just remember the Tucker part. The Tucker. See, it helps. Okay. Okay, so I know exactly what you're talking about, and India was actually had the biggest percentage of cases that were dismissed for lack of speedy trial in our county. So what happened, just so everyone knows the backstory, obviously we all know what happened in March of 2020, and everything shut down. When the schools shut down, people ask me, what do you think about the courts? Schools shut down March 13th, so there's no way the courts are going to shut down. People have constitutional rights, speedy trial. You can't just, a week later, the court shut down. Now, we didn't shut down completely. Some things did. Traffic shut down completely. I think civil might have, criminal, if people were arrested, they still needed to come before a judge to petition, to have bail set. So it wasn't 100%, but trials were suspended. And the presiding judge of Riverside County had to keep requesting from the Supreme Court the permission to continue to suspend people's constitutional right to a speedy trial. I was shocked when that happened. I did not think that was going to happen. This is my personal opinion.
What I want to know is what you personally did during this time to resolve that problem.
I'll tell you what I did. I was actually assigned to a criminal courtroom from, let me get this straight, okay, 2020, I went into a criminal courtroom in spring of, let me get my years right, 24, 23, spring of 2022. So we have been not quite 2 years with the shutdown. We still had the prohibition, or the suspending of constitutional rights. So I was presiding in a misdemeanor calendar court. What appeared in front of me were misdemeanor arraignments and all settlement conferences for basically anything doing with a misdemeanor, criminal misdemeanor case, except for trial. When the case is ready to go to trial, it goes to a different court. So I'm presiding over this huge calendar, hundreds of cases daily, literally hundreds of cases, and a case that was in the settlement, we call it pre-trial stage. And I looked at it, every single case. I looked to see how many continuances have been on that case. I looked to see what the reasons, because you need good cause to continue a case. You can't just say, hey, both sides, we just agreed to continue. There has to be a good cause legal reason. I would see what was the reason that they gave last time. Often they weren't giving reasons. They would say, oh, we both agree, we both agree. That's not legal good cause. So for every single case, I would say this case has now been continued 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 times. I see you're requesting to continue it again. What is your good cause? And I got pushback from both sides, from the DA and the defense attorney, saying, well, there's nowhere to go. We don't have any courtrooms. We don't need to tell you. We're both agreeing. No, the code requires a good cause reason. What is your good cause? I would then hold them to that. If they didn't have good cause, I would refuse to continue a case. And I'd say, I'm sending you to the trial courtroom. And I got pushback, but the lead judge of criminals said, send them to our trial courts, because we will figure it out and we will find homes. So if they did have a good cause reason, I'd say, okay, how much time do you need to deal with whatever issue is your good cause reason? Do you need 2 weeks? Do you need 2 months? You tell me how much time you need, because the next time we are coming back, you're either going to resolve this case or we are going to send it to trial. So that's personally what I did in the courtroom to stop just the incessant continuance of cases. That's what was happening when COVID happened. Criminal cases
I
were
got
just
that part of
continuing.
it. Specifically, since you mentioned the DA was blocking you and stuff, my question was, what did you do personally? Because my record is clear on it. I was at the Board of Supervisors. I was asking Corey and the state legislature to solve this problem. It was disastrous, you know it, in this county what was going on. Everybody was passing the buck. There were very, very few of us that would stand up to them. And what I believe, and I think if you want to solve all these problems, and I want to know specific records of what everyone did, and you're running for office, what you did stand him down there. You should have Erwin say what he told me when I was walking out the door and why you guys ain't talking about stuff. But I want to know specifically what stand you took and what you said to them publicly, out there. Put it on the line. Those problems don't get fixed if we all stand in the back row.
So I think I mentioned, I work at the will of the judges. We have a presiding judge of Riverside County, and that is the public voice of the county. So I defer
I guess
to.
the public, you have the
Okay, I think I've
voice as a
answered your
private
question. I think I've answered your question. And it's feeling a little aggressive, actually.
No. I think we're fine. I think the idea is that, obviously, we all have different roles that we play, but I think also is we find our own ways to help try to solve the problem. And I don't think that just because you chose to solve your problem your way, which you have every right to do, in engaging your democratic institutions, but that doesn't mean everyone has to do what you did. Because I think it takes us all to be able to make sure that we do it. So appreciate it, but it was definitely a tough time. Obviously, airports are part of that. And so I'm going to be working on making sure that we try to get more investments to improve the airport so that we can actually bring more commerce to the area. And then, of course, you have a lot of the land that March Joint Powers Authority has, and the mayor can talk more about this. I believe he sits on it. But the idea is, how do we continue to help with state investments and economic opportunity zones, specifically manufacturing opportunity zones. I have a bill on the governor's desk right now for an EV opportunity zone that directly benefits, so that the same benefits that Tesla got from the state, guess what? We have our own EV manufacturer here in Moreno Valley. And so it's time for us to make sure that we get those same investments, because those welders, everyone that works there makes a livable wage, and they're buying homes right here in Moreno Valley, Paris, and other areas. So the idea is, it's time for us to get more involved in the game. We see how others have played the game. Now it's time for us to be perfecters of that game.
Mayor?
Yeah, and to add on to that, thank you for laying that out, Assembly Member. So the March Joint Powers Commission is a separate entity from the March Air Reserve Base. And the March Joint Powers Commission has representatives from all 4 jurisdictions, 2 from the county, 2 from the city of Paris, 2 from Moreno Valley, 2 from the city of Riverside. I'm one of the representatives. Councilmember Delgado is our second representative. He's currently the chair of the March Joint Powers Commission as well. But I think to your question, Donovan, thanks for asking. it is a balance, because on one side you have the reserve base that is making sure that it gets the funding it needs from the federal government, and that there are no other projects that will put in jeopardy the base's mission. So that's the other side of things where we have to really balance it, is the Joint Powers Commission, and really their main mission of bringing good paying jobs to Riverside County, which you have to take into consideration the crash landing zones, right? A lot of people ask, why don't you build housing or commercial retail around the base? Because really it's really not allowed because of where planes could potentially crash. So that puts restrictions and really ties the hands of the commission in terms of what can be built. And for the most part, it's industrial development that gets built on the March Joint Powers Commission, warehousing. And so it's a constant, balance of making sure that the commission is making decisions that don't put in jeopardy anything that the base is trying to accomplish, and that we clearly know what the base is trying to do, so that we also meet those needs. So it's the commission has a good relationship with the commander and the Air Force to make sure that we're up to date on what they need, what is it that we need to do on our end. And we do face a lot of questions when the exchange, for example, was closed. That definitely is a big hit. A lot of veterans relied on that. I reached out to Congressman Takano's office because he's the one that really oversees all of the federal things that happen here. And the big issue that not a lot of people know about is that a lot of those buildings, like the old barracks, even the community center that we have at Marchfield Park, there's a lot of those buildings are old. They've been around for a long time. So you have issues of asbestos and different things going on in the building that, as much as the March Joint Powers Commission or the Air Reserve Base wants to invest into them, it's just too expensive. It's not viable. So it's figuring out, all right, what alternatives do we have? And so, I try my best to make sure that the city is in communication with our counterparts at the federal level on the base to make sure that we're on the same page as much as possible. And also, I'll end on this, it's very important to know that the March Joint Powers Commission, the land use authority part, so being able to approve or deny projects, that authority is going to now be delegated to the County Board of Supervisors. And that, if I remember correctly, begins June, July of next year. So any of these big projects that right now the JPA votes on, now starting June, July of next year, the Board of Supervisors for Riverside County will now take over all that authority. So just wanted to make sure everybody's aware, because all of those things impact the congestion on our roads. What type of jobs are we bringing here? Who do we focus on? Is it just distribution centers, or do we up the ante and focus in on more manufacturing, trying to tap into the new industries and the investments that are being made across the country? There's no reason why we can't be more competitive against states like Arizona and Texas and Florida. We just need to make sure we're at the table and we're bringing those resources here. Our assembly members doing some of that, our Congress members doing some of that, and we need to continue doing all those things. So hopefully that paints a little bit of a broader picture there and gives you a better idea of where things stand. And of course, the City of Moreno Valley always doing what we can to make sure that we're meeting that need as well.
Mr. Juan?
If elected, definitely the Air Reserve Base is a strategic base here in the region. It's been here for a very long time. Making sure that doesn't leave anywhere, or God forbid closes down, right? And also, kind of my campaign focus always a balance, right? Even though, as the mayor mentioned, the decision-making authority is going to move to the County Board of Supervisors. Between now and then, making sure that there's a balance of the warehousing and more manufacturing, because we know it's always better to have a balance and to manufacture things in our region versus just distribution components that we have. So definitely, I'll definitely work with Senator Corey Jackson, the City Council, and the Board of Supervisors. Right? That's very fundamental. Our Board of Supervisors, that we make sure that the Congressman Takano's office, that the base has what it needs to continue functioning and to make to continue moving forward what it needs.
The base was opposed to, everyone was opposed to. The Airport Land Use Commission said it's inappropriate, and the city bypassed our decision and voted for it, even against, I mean, the airport, the military said, this is bad. You know, we might have to shut down if you build this stupid parking lot. And yet the city still said, oh, that's great, we need another parking lot.
I hear you. So I abstained, one vote. I abstained from that vote because I didn't want to vote for it. My colleagues, though, on the council voted to support it and approve it. And I know there was ongoing litigation. I don't have all the details. But again, that is one example, thank you for bringing that up, of projects that could be detrimental to the base's mission.
Just a parking lot.
Yeah, and so, you know, that involved like the property owner and their rights to propose a project and balancing that against, you know, protecting the city and the base's mission. So it wasn't an easy one, but at the end of the day, I abstained. I did not vote for that project. My colleagues on the council still voted to approve it. And if I remember correctly, a judge actually ruled that the project cannot move forward. And so
I know the county sued, and I think some other agencies.
Yeah, and part of that also is here's the thing that a lot of people don't see because a lot of these conversations involve litigation, right? So a lot of it is confidential and classified information, but also making sure that we're protecting the city. So that's always my number one focus: is how do we make sure we're not, you know, getting into like having to pay settlements and lawsuits unnecessarily, and that's why I abstained from the project.
Of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.